What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and today we're coming at you with Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series. This is number 8. Now, this came out in July of 2022. I was just able to get my hands on a bottle thanks to a patron of mine. We're going to talk about this bottle a little bit more during the Bourbon Bomb of the Week and a little story I have behind this bottle right here because I have a question for you guys. But let's go over the details on this right now. This is absolutely crazy. So this is not technically a bourbon, right? And we're still going to go through the gauntlet, price, taste, drinkability, but this is a blended whiskey. It comes up with these components: 66% Kentucky origin, 12-year-old mash bill of 78% corn, 10% rye, 12% malted barley. Mix that with an Indiana whiskey, which is 17% of this blend at 7 years old, with 45% corn, 51% rye, and 4% malted barley. Then we have an Ontario whiskey in here. That's right, Canadian whiskey in this. 11% of this blend at 12 years old, which is a 100% corn mash bill. And then from Indiana again, 6% of this blend, 6 years old, a 95.5 rye. That means, and I think I could sit down and truly do the math on this. I used to be really good at math, but I feel like we could figure out, since we have the blend of the mash bill and the percentage of the blend that this actually is. I'm going to try and do it, not right now in my head, but I am going to try and do that, and hopefully I can put that on screen for you to give you the exact mash bill on this, because this has got to be leaning toward, 100% corn, but we also have a 51% rye in here and a 95.5 rye. So like, this is definitely going to be pretty evenly split. I think it might even lean a little bit more towards the rye side. I just don't even know how this would add up. But I'd be interested to see what the exact mash bill is on this. Now, I did not fully open this bottle yet. We're about to do that right now. I'm taking this tape off of here. Let's pour this up and let's get into a traditional sip. I guess I need a glass to do that. Shout out Whiskey Wisdom. Love these glasses. Solid pop, even with the synthetic cork. Now, as I mentioned during our Bourbon Bomb of the Week, we're going to talk a little bit about this particular bottle, actually this exact bottle right here. And we're also going to compare it to one of my favorites from Bardstown. This is their Origin series. This is the Bottled and Bond. So we're going to put them up against each other. But for right now, everybody knows, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. All right, that's freaking good. I always put this bottle over here and I don't know why. You know the rules: price, taste, drinkability, folks. This is going to be a tough one because this is so unique and so different. First of all, we didn't talk about the proof on this. We're going to start with drinkability, 114.1 proof. Nothing to write home about right at that proof. We deal with that proof range all the time, higher, lower, right in the middle there. I like the 100 to 115 proof range, so we're right in my wheelhouse of what I truly love. I feel like under 100 these days is just a little bit underwhelming. Over like the 115, once you start pushing that 120, you're really working into some proofs that you can't drink 3 or 4 of in a night. 115 seems like that really easy drinker for me. We are moving into the summertime, and I don't know, this might be like almost a summertime sipper. It's got everything that I'm looking for. It's almost refreshing when I take a sip of this. But let's talk about it. Drinkability, how much ethanol kick is on this for 114.1 proof? I gotta tell you, first glass of whiskey for the night, the neck pour going on this is sipping pretty easy for me. It's late too. I gotta be up early, so I don't want to drink too much of this to really hone in on what the proof is, but I don't think I'd blind this at 114. I'm sorry guys, I gotta take one more sip. Now, we're definitely going to talk about this more when we get into taste on this, but this does feel to be like rye forward for me. Now, we're only talking, 17 plus 6, that's 23% when it comes to the rye on this, and it's a 95.5 rye, and then the other rye is 51%, but we also have a 10% rye in there, and then the 100% corn mash bill. But there does seem to be a little bit of a spiciness on this, but I'm not going to equate that to any ethanol on this. I'm going to say this, if I were to blind this, I don't think I would put it much under 114 proof, right? It still does have that kick behind it, but I would probably put it in like that 110 range. I don't think I would go any lower than 110. So we give it a 7.0 if it drinks right at its proof. I think this drinks just slightly under its proof. So let's go like 7.26 when it comes to drinkability on this. Not a bad start for this bottle at all. And up next, we've got to get into taste on this. And I'm like trying to think back. I'm actually going to turn around and look at my collection right now. Elijah Craig C923, but technically that wasn't this year, although I do think I picked that up this year because Pennsylvania is always late. I'm trying to think of a bottle that I truly enjoyed more than this one right now this year. And I don't know if I can find one. Now, granted, this was 2022, so I can't put this on my like top whiskeys of 2024, but let me think about this for just 1 minute. So there's two bottles that jumped out to me when I looked on my collection, and that is 2XO Gem of Kentucky number 26, the single barrel, that specific barrel. It's the only one that I've had. I had a sample of it. I was able to get a bottle of it after that, but that's an expensive bottle, but not as expensive as the other one that I was thinking of, which is the 15 Stars Platinum. That's 15, that was delicious. The 15 Stars Platinum was delicious. That being said, that was another very expensive bottle of whiskey. This isn't the cheapest thing, and we'll get to that when we get to price in a minute, but I will say, we didn't even mention the fact that, forget about the mash bills, forget about Canadian whiskey in this, forget about 51% rye and 95.5 rye. Let's talk about this is also finished in a custom staves project. The fact that Bardstown Bourbon Company, and this is what they do best, and this is what I always give my nod to when it comes to this particular company. They're the best at blending. I don't care. There's a few blenders out there, obviously, that have their hat in the ring when it comes to their specific brands. Obviously, when we talk about somebody like Dixon Dedman being the master blender that he is, Bardstown Bourbon Company is just, I don't know if it's one specific person over there or if they have a team working on these things, but these blends, if you take these four whiskeys separately, I don't know anybody that could probably put them to be better together than this particular company, and then throw staves projects on it. There's just so many flavors that they're working with. How do they keep them all straight? That being said, let's drink this and tell you the flavor profile I'm getting. I feel like I'm going to use two different words when I'm talking about this particular glass right here, and that's going to be dark and light. And I know what you're thinking, how can I get both of those? But let me explain it to you. I'm getting dark notes on this. I'm getting dark chocolate. I'm getting those dark, heavy baking spices like that nutmeg and that clove when it comes to those spices. But then I'm also getting light, right? I feel like I'm getting like a maple syrupy, which kind of gives it this viscosity. So you're talking like a maple chocolatey, but then it finishes itself out so well with a little bit of an oak presence on this. Not over oak. It doesn't dry out the mouth on anything like this. I'm blown away by this glass right here. My question for you guys is, were all the Discovery series this good, or was 8 like the banger? I think this is my first experience with the Disco series, and I gotta tell you, this is a banger. And if they were all this good, I feel very bad that I haven't drove down to Delaware more often to pick these up, because this right here is something, again, I feel like it could be a summer sipper, but I could also see myself next to a fireplace with a cigar with this. This is very versatile when it comes to the actual flavor profile. This is a phenomenal glass of whiskey. I have been beating myself up this year about trying to be more fair and a little bit more even when it comes to the scores. It has been very, very hard to get a 9 on my particular palate this year. This is a 9. The question is, how far of a 9 is it? Is this like a 9.1? We're just going to crack the 9s. Is this like a 9.5? It doesn't get much better than this. I'm going to say it's right in the middle of those two. I'm going to go like 9.23. This is a phenomenal tasting glass of whiskey. I can't speak any more highly of it. But you know, at this point, we do have to talk about the price on this. And this came out in July of 2022. I'm assuming I'm going to put this video out in July of 2024. 2 years ago, this bottle came out at $139.99. Now, I know that doesn't seem too crazy today. Like every special release seems to be $140 to $200. But I feel like back then, it doesn't seem that long ago, but that still seems like a high price tag, at least for me. So $140 for one of the better tasting whiskeys that I've ever had at an average drinkability. I don't know where I'm going to put this bottle. Now, I'm not going to pour up any more because we're going to compare it to the Origin series here soon, but I got to think on this one just a little bit. Let's break down what this bottle actually has to offer. First of all, 77% of this bottle is at least 12 years or older. I think that's a pretty good percentage, and 12 years is one of my favorite age statements. We also have Bardstown Bourbon Company behind this. We have Canadian whiskey in this. We have a finished stave project. We have one of the better tasting whiskeys that I've had in a very long time, but we also have a $140 price tag. I can't knock this too much, right? It's above when it comes to drinkability. It's way above when it comes to taste, but it's also above when it comes to the price on this. So we're going to probably be dropping back towards that average mark, which is 7.0 for a $75 to, I don't know, $90 bottle of whiskey, whatever you want to call it, as an average price these days. But I'm going to say, let's go like 7.15 when it comes to price on this. I would love to see this a little bit lower, but I also understand the price tag behind it. But listen, I have a question for you guys, the viewers. I'm going to pour a little bit more up in this. We're not going to do this blind today. I really want to compare these two next to each other, and I want to know which one's which. So let's pour up a little bit more and get into our bourbon bomb of the week. We're going to go with our Summer Jam glass for our Bardstown Origin Series. Again, this is the Bardstown Origin Series bottled in bond. The best thing about this is it's Bardstown Bourbon Company Origin. 6 years old, corn, 68%, wheat, 20%, and malted barley, 12%. Oh yeah, this is the wheater, by the way. I absolutely love this bottle. I have another one as well. Now listen, by no means am I comparing these two glasses. I can tell you right now I'm going to enjoy this glass better, which is why I'm not doing this blind. This is 6-year-old Bardstown Bourbon Company. This is some of their best blended product that they've ever put out. I'm just comparing these two, just get the portfolio of what Bardstown Bourbon Company has to offer as a whole. This is obviously newer. This is obviously older. I don't know how easy it is to get your hands on these bottles anymore, if the Disco 8 is out there anymore. But let me know in the comment section below if you still see these out here, but I'm going to try this glass right here. Right off the bat, again, I love this glass and I always have to go through this. Whatever crap I talk about these particular glasses up against each other, these are both phenomenal glasses of whiskey. I love both of these glasses of whiskey. Nothing I say is saying that this is a bad glass of whiskey. It's just saying in comparison to this fantastic pour over here, this one's a little bit hotter, and it's 100 proof compared to 114.1 proof. So 14 proof points difference, and this one drinks easier. That's got to tell you something. But the reason I bring you here for our Bourbon Bomb of the Week today is because you saw it when I first started this. I took off this piece of tape here, and I'm going to roll the video every Thursday. I post my new bottle Thursday, and every Friday I post my Fresh Crack Friday. I did a Fresh Crack Friday of this particular bottle right here. I took the foil off, and I tried to pop the top, but I could not get the top to come off. And then I saw this piece of plastic, which is like a tape, underneath the actual foil. And I thought to myself, did I get scammed, or did the person who found this and gave it to me get scammed? Why is this here? I went back to I have a second bottle of this that was uncracked, and I literally opened it to see if there was any tape on that particular bottle, and there wasn't. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, either this isn't real or there's something going on with this particular bottle. I messaged a couple people on my Discord. I was like, hey, have you ever seen this on a Bardstown bottle? They were like, no, I've never seen that before. It's kind of weird. I asked the guy who bought it. He's like, nah, I got it at Total Wine in Delaware. Like, it's legit. And I was like, well, I don't know what the freak is going on, but I'm not trying to get poisoned or get scammed out of what's supposed to be a very good bottle of whiskey. So my question to you, and by the way, I went on Reddit and I looked this up. I love Reddit. Reddit has every freaking thing that ever existed to any human being out there. I went on Reddit and I literally Googled, or I actually Googled it and it took me to Reddit. I said, plastic tape on Bardstown Disco 8. And the first Reddit article came up and was like, hey, I've never seen this on a Bardstown bottle before. Has anybody else noticed this? And there's like 20 people that were like, mine has it, mine has it, mine has it. So Bardstown, if you're watching this, why does this bottle have this and no other bottle does? Before I continue with my questions to you guys, let's get into this glass over here. Bardstown Bourbon Company, you have some great whiskey. Keep going, please. I love what you are doing. Don't stop doing this. Whatever you're doing over here with this blending with other people's whiskey, do it. Are you down with OPW instead of OPP and the other? Are you down with OPW, other people's whiskey? I am. If it's this one right here, this is so good. But my question for you is, how are you getting your hands on bottles of whiskey that maybe you couldn't get otherwise? Here in Pennsylvania, we don't really have access to bottles like this, so I have to go and use my resources, the friends that I've made, the patrons that I had, the Discord that I built, the YouTube subscribers, the TikTok friends, the Instagram followers. I use you guys to help me find these bottles of whiskey, but that's a very big trust thing going on there, because you could easily, and people do this whether you would like to believe it or not, it's one reason I have a bunch of empty bottles that I'm afraid to give to somebody, because they're like, oh yeah, we're going to turn them into candles. And I'm like, or you're just going to flip them, put some old granddad in there, put a new little gold, silver, whatever topper on here, and you're just going to sell it as well or foolproof. So that's why I get very sketched out with this kind of stuff. So my question to you guys is, one, have you ever been scammed actually getting a bottle of whiskey that didn't have that particular whiskey inside? Two, would you have found out, like, if this wasn't what it was supposed to be, would I know? And how would I know? And then three, have you ever been sketched out by a particular trade that you guys have ever made? That's what I want to know in today's discussion. But listen, that's enough of this for our Bourbon Bomb of the Week. Let's send it back over. I'll finish this one up since we're all done with it. But let's finish up with this glass right here and find out our score on this bottle. So listen, this bottle came in at a 7.88, and that is third place, and that's going up against the William LaRue Weller that I tried for the very first time. We have a George T. Stagg coming in. We have a Wild Turkey Master's Keep sample coming in. We have a CYPB coming in. We have Four Roses Limited Edition from 2019 coming in. We have a lot of bottles. We've got a Weller 107 store pick that we're going to compare against the other Wellers that we have. We have a lot going on in the channel, so make sure you click that like and subscribe button. But a 7.88 and third place for this bottle from 2022 is a phenomenal spot. But listen, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to drink this particular bottle and all of those other samples that I talked about coming in if it wasn't for my patrons. Shout out Mike Carr for this particular bottle. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Go click that follow button over there. Check us out on Patreon and Discord. Both those links in the description below. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly. Stay healthy, stay happy, and stay buying Disco Series number 8 if you have the opportunity. Cheers, y'all.